fuel farm right there. About 1 million gallons of fuel in every look at over there.
This is called the African Town Bridge.
Look at all the barges.
Crosses over this water and all that shipping comes through here.
Okay, we are about to get on the toll road going to Dauphin Island out here in Alabama. See some offshore oil rigs over there and a lot of big ships, and they're dredging here. Mobile Bay. Nice scenery here. A little windy day, but we're at Dauphin Island Indian Shell Mountain Park. We're going to walk in here in a minute. But anyways, this plaque, if you want to read it, you can pause. But it says they were the Choctaw and the Creek tribes were in this area. And it was 11 AD to 1550. So about 450 years they settled out here, and they'd come here in the winter time to springtime and for oysters and fish and all that good stuff. So we're about to go in here and see some mounds. Yeah, this nice little walk, shady walk through here. Come up on the mounds here in a little bit. Like right over there, that little hill, that's a mound, but you can't tell it no more because of trees and growth over it. There's thousands of oyster shells underneath that dirt. Yeah, like right now we're on top of a mound. You can see, barely see through that gap there. There's the level ground. So we're up about 10 feet. Millions and millions of shells it took to build this up. Oysters and clams and see, like right in here, you can see oyster and clam shells still on the ground. For instance, like this here, ow, thorn bush there got me. Like that. That could have been 700-800 years ago somebody cracked that open and ate it and threw the shell here. So you can still see all the shells down here. So is that old oak. Massive. That thing's,
That was here then.
yeah, that thing's dead now, but look at the base of that. Massive. Here's another little bridge. It's supposed to have been 2 shell mounds with a spring, which I'm assuming is this right here. Said they had 2 shell mounds side by side with a spring in the middle of them. This must have been the springs. Pretty much dried up now, but had a fresh water source. That was probably the spring back in the day, their fresh water source, but it's dried up. It's a mud hole now. Springs dry up eventually. But this is a self-guided tour. There's no signs. It's just a spot out on the island here, and you just walk about and ooh, look at that. 2 mounds here. That's pretty cool. Look at the shells down here. Yeah, they said they had 2 mounds and the spring was in the middle. And you can see the little bit of water down there, so this was probably where the water was. It flowed through here, and they had a mound over there, mound over here. You can still see the oyster shells here. This top of the mound here. See the shells. are about to go in the fort. This was used during the Civil War. A couple of cannons here. Actual cannons that were used, they said. Established 1821. Mobile Bay. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Admiral Farragut said that. And these were some actual cannons from it. Still got the stamp. 1863 made. They got the stamps on the front. Serial numbers. And there's the bay. Mobile Bay. There is a lot of oil rigs offshore there. You can see one off in the distance there. Platforms. Nice breeze today. Pretty cool thing here. You can pause it to read it, but it was part of an old ship that was exposed after Hurricane George in 1998. They predict this ship was built in the 1800s or earlier. And this is, it says here, keel section that was washed ashore. Formed the bottom ridge line of the ship and would have held the ribs of the ship's hull. Current expert analysis of the materials indicated the ship was built in the 1800s.
And all those iron spikes.
Yeah.
The one that we found in Addison.
Look at that. It's no wonder they were able to transfer it over here without it falling apart. That's some big lumber they cut in the spikes, iron spikes. Historic. Fort Gaines, established in 1821 by General Edmund Pendleton Gaines. Early Alabama history. Fort Starr captured Aaron Burr near McIntosh. Daughters of the American Colonists. Yeah, here's the outer side of the fort. It's kind of like Fort Jefferson down in the Dry Tortugas, and that other one, Zachary. Fort Zachary in Key West. Over 3 million red bricks were used to conduct these forts. 3 million. A lot of it was labor brought in from Europe. We're on top of the fort here. You can see a offshore oil rig over there. This is going downstairs here to where the ammunition was held. Big circular.
And they probably have more storage down there.
On the left here.
We should bring my building equipment and everything to be on
The shell hit from the USS Chickasaw during the Battle of Mobile Bay. Hit it right there. Big cannonball. Guess it came over the fort. Bam! Hit it right here. It only knocked out, what, 2-3 rows of brick? And this thing is probably 15 rows of brick. Wow. There's the bay. Again, that's what they were shooting out at. Yeah, I saw that. It says 1490. Must be the serial number, it's not the year it was made. These were the swivels so they could push it left and right.
This has writing on it too, but I can't make it out.
We're probably going to take the ferry ride with my truck and go across, because over there is another fort. Fort Morgan is on that land over there. Otherwise you'd have to go all the way back around I-10, all the way around. So ferry ride take you to the other fort. So they had a fort there, a fort here, and anybody that came in, they were trying to blast them from both sides. I think how many cannonballs are in that bay. This was the bakery. There was their ovens. Then right next to it, there's a room here. It's got a salt pot here. The latrine had a culvert that when the tide would come in twice a day, it would flush it out and send it out to the bay. 400 men were on this garrison here. Tin pot, and they set up there in the gunner's spots. There was bathrooms with the same thing, pipes. They must have closed it or something to keep the water flowing in or something. Here you go. I'll grab this one. You grab that one. This is a magazine. This looks like where they bunked here. This is a magazine where they'd hang the shells and roll the heavy ones around. Yep, store ammo in here. Roll it around in different positions. Whole rib section found in Gulf from old shipwreck. Was discovered by a shrimp boat 20 miles offshore between 1800 and 1850. 100-foot long ship. This is a piece of shipwreck that washed ashore the Dauphin only years ago due to the bolts in their hull. We know it was built in the 20th century. Wow, look at that. I think it's the ship's rudder. Letters from soldiers. This is a commander's letter to the mother of this soldier who was killed. This guy, Confederate letter, soldier writes, I weigh 14 pounds more than I did when I left home. They were eating good. They had a lot of oysters and fish and blueprints of the fort. Looks like the officers' quarters.
Now we get to where they slept, guys.
This is so comfortable.
Probably their mess hall, quartermaster building.
This is where Bobby was.
This is the museum at the in the fort. There's a lighthouse with a lighthouse keeper's house. Island life in the 30s. A. Cavalry infantry. B. Artillery. C. Buttons. D. Goodyear rubber buttons. E. Jefferson Davis. Colonial buttons. Yeah, musket balls. 3 ringers, cannonball, canister shot.
Big enough?
And this.
Look at what kind of shoes they used to wear.
Jeez.
Pantene.
Found near Blakely that
Nothing tobacco.
What do you guys know about the Civil War?
Those are real belt buckles. Wow.
mortar shells.
We passed through 6 inches of pine board without stopping.
Primers. Cannonball. Look at that gun.
Do you know what?
There's a flag. You get a sword. And a knapsack. Oh, the buckles.
Hat plate.
They let me know to take care. I might find something for them.
An old headstone.
Replicas of the Spanish. This was the outdoor dining facility, courtyard. There's a pot. It says under them rocks was a cistern. Guess it took stuff out to the bay, high tides twice a day, clean out the system, but doesn't say. Okay, now I see it. They're covered, but they held fresh rainwater for use of cooking and drinking. These are like open pits. So that's how they got their fresh water there and over there. It tells you how big those ships were. That was the anchor off USS Hartford, Admiral Farragut's flagship during the Civil War Battle of the Mobile Bay. Look at the size of that. Look at the chain links. Look at the clevis on that thing. Boy, it took a whole crew to pull that chain and anchor up. Massive. And this is my hand compared to that. I think it's about 9 foot long. Look at that marker. Coastal Surveying Marker, 1847. Look at the size of the interior of this place. It's huge. One last look at Fort Gaines. almost, this is kind of pentagon shape, but it's almost identical to Fort Taylor down in Key West, Zachary Taylor. And the Dry Tortugas, Fort Jefferson, we haven't been because it's a long ride out there, either by plane or boat. So we haven't been to that one, but another Civil War fort checked off the list.
Here's a battery turret built in 1898 to 1903 to upgrade the defenses of the fort. Here's the view from the upgrade battery turret. Looks like there was 3 holes. No metal detecting. This is West Beach on Dauphin Island. This is the public beach where people go to.
No metal detecting.
No metal detecting allowed. And this end is the really super narrow end where all the homes are.
Look at the size of that one.
That was completely underwater after Hurricane Katrina, all the way across the road from one side to the other.